Hello, today I'm going to show you how to make the vegan version of one of my favorite Ghanaian soups, groundnut soup, also known as peanut butter soup. If you want to learn how to make this recipe, please keep watching. As always, all my recipes are linked in the description box below. The recipe that I have on my blog is actually a much simpler version of this recipe. It is by far one of my most popular recipes for a very good reason. But today I am taking a different approach, mainly to show that there are many different ways you can approach the same recipes in Ghana. You can take different routes and the end product is usually going to be the same. I am starting by cooking my groundnut with some tomato paste. So I'm going to be using the word groundnut and peanuts interchangeably because in Ghana we refer to our version of peanut butter as groundnut paste and peanuts are usually referred to as groundnuts. The most important thing with this soup is that you want to cook the groundnuts very, very well. There's a lot of fiber in the groundnut paste, so if you don't cook the fiber out properly, you will be sitting on the toilet for hours. So make sure to cook it very, very well. The groundnuts I'm using 100% natural peanut butter here. It's okay to use some of the peanut butters that might have salt in there, but make sure it's 100% natural peanut butter. You don't want one of those Jifs or Skippies that have additional sugar in there. And I will also recommend using smooth peanut butter, not chunky, because at the end you're going to make a soup and then you'll get the little bits of peanuts in there. While my peanuts were cooking, I moved on to make the base of my broth. So in my earthenware, I have some onions, some spices, I believe anise seed and grains of paradise, and I'm going to take my time and grind it out till a paste. You do not need an earthenware for this. Honestly, you could literally use a spice grinder for the spices and then blend the onions. I will be also blending some ginger and pepper with a lot of water in a blender, and that's going to save you a lot of time. But for some reason today I decided to go the traditional route. After my very impromptu arm workout, I checked on my peanuts. You can see that the oil is starting to separate to the top, but I'm just gonna keep cooking this till I need to add it into the pot. Just checking in on it to make sure that it is not burning at the bottom. For my soup, I like to use a mixture of dried mushrooms and fresh mushrooms. Dried mushrooms are the base of my soups because you can boil them for a long time and they're not going to be mush. I'm adding in some king oyster mushrooms. I find that I can boil them for a while and they will still maintain their structure. Once my mushrooms were added, I added in the grinded paste. So it's not smooth. It is not necessary for it to be smooth. If you used a blender, it will definitely be smoother. I'm adding in some water first, rinsing out my earthenware just to get every little bit of flavor out and then pouring it into my pot. I'm also adding a better than bouillon, no chicken soup base. So basically the same thing as a chicken bouillon without the chicken pieces. I added some extra water and then I brought everything to a boil. So like most Ghanaian soups, when the water had come to a boil, I added in my tomatoes and onions. Some people like to boil this on the side. You can also boil it in the pot. And you're gonna boil it till the skin starts to come off the tomatoes and then blend and strain. You don't have to strain the mixture. I'm straining in this particular instance because the peanut butter is going to make the soup thick. So if I added in everything plus all the chaff, I would need to add a lot of water just to thin out the soup. So I am going to be straining the tomato and onion mixture. But again, this part is not 100% necessary. So once everything was strained, I let my soup come to a boil, just check the flavor and make sure that there was enough salt, that I'm liking the way the soup is turning out. Before I added the peanut butter, I also added in my next ingredients. I believe these are shiitake mushrooms, and I'm adding in some smoked tofu. Again, I think the mushrooms is all a personal preference. I like a lot of mushrooms, so I added that in. Once my mushrooms were in, at this point, I was happy with my groundnut paste. The paste was basically frying in its own oil, so it was sizzling. I added it into my soup gradually just to avoid any lumps and mix it well. Also, I've been cooking the paste on the side for a while, so it was actually a lot easier to mix it into my soup. Added in some extra water, and then I basically let everything boil. I tasted for salt, adjusted based on my own personal preference, and then I just let everything cook. As the soup was cooking, I added in yet some more mushrooms. I love mushrooms. I love the different textures that you can achieve with different types of mushrooms. I'm adding in my softest mushrooms, which are the oyster mushrooms. For the groundnut soup, you want to cook it till you start to see these red streaks on the side, or basically the oil separating to the top. I'm not using meat, so you don't see as much oil separating to the top, but if you were using meat, there would be a lot more oil at the top. I also want to make sure that there's no more foam on the soup. Once I had achieved those signs that I was looking for, the soup was ready. At this point, I had cooked the groundnuts for more than an hour and a half just to make sure that I have fully cooked it through. For this bowl, I am serving it with some yam fufu. If you want to learn how to make yam fufu, I actually posted a video on how to make pounded yam. It's basically the same process. I served it with my hot soup, and I enjoyed this for my Sunday dinner. If you want the written instructions for the simpler version, as I already said, it is in the description box below. If you like this type of recipe, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!